Today is one of those days when the preacher would do well to simply get out of the way and let the liturgy speak for itself. Well, I'll do my best to do just that, but just a few words by way of explanation. The symbolism, the meaning, and the ritual of this service are all ripe for unpacking. But if you were to leave here with one thing tonight, I hope it is this: Jesus has been and will always be with us in the spaces that feel unstable and vulnerable. Peter demonstrates just how difficult it can be to receive this reality. Now, Peter was clearly committed to Jesus, traveling with him and making a full-hearted commitment to become his disciple. While we may at first read Peter's protest of Jesus' invitation as a form of misunderstanding, it ultimately masks as a form of pride. Peter does not wish to humble himself for fear of what it might ultimately reveal. Allowing another to love us, truly love us, dirt and all, is difficult. It immediately unmasks our vulnerabilities and leaves us exposed. The risk is high and can make everything feel fragile. Jesus says to Peter, "You don't know now what I am doing, but later you will understand." This undid Peter, undid him. He was more attuned to reacting after he had acquired understanding. Feeding people, there's a pretty clear outcome of that task. Healing people, perhaps a bit more challenging, but still there's a known objective. Peter has spent years listening to Jesus, witnessing his gentleness and healing touch, and grappling with the mystery wrapped in his parables. He understood enough to keep following Jesus. But Jesus washing his feet, he didn't understand that at all. He couldn't possibly understand what was about to unfold in Jerusalem, no matter how much Jesus had prepared him. Jesus flips the paradigm of acting only from a place of understanding. Jesus models what it looks like to be obedient even when there's no clarity to be found. Understanding will not always precede obedience. Jesus flips this comfortable pattern on its head. Follow the Son of God does not always bring with it great clarity or understanding. Love is the only audacious, ridiculous, non-linear emotion that can make sense of what Jesus asks us to do. Love is the only way that washing the feet of another can seem hopeful. Maundy Thursday is honest about how raw we feel when left unstable or vulnerable. It shows us a night when, as one theologian puts it, we can see how easily fear can shape our words and actions. It shows us a night when courage falters, a night when even love feels fragile. But the story of Maundy Thursday is not about Peter's failures. It's not about our discomfort with vulnerability. It's about the fact that Jesus has been and will always accompany us in the spaces that feel unstable and vulnerable. Former Archbishop of Canterbury, Rowan Williams, summarized the events of Maundy Thursday in these stark terms. Jesus binds himself to vulnerability before he is bound, literally, by human violence. Jesus binds himself to vulnerability before he is bound, literally, by human violence. And it changes everything, forever. I do wonder what might have happened if foot washing had become the primary sacrament of the church. What if we didn't spend time worrying about holiness and access to God, such that only those who were chosen received the sacrament? What if we had followed in the spirit of Jesus' extravagant love and took the time to wash the feet of one another week in and week out? The kids at the 5:30 service said way less people would come to church. That kind of vulnerability and honesty would be deeply uncomfortable. But perhaps it would also serve to remind us that we don't choose generosity and vulnerability because the world will provide us a better reaction. We respond out of generosity and vulnerability because this shapes our heart to be more like Jesus' heart, full of love. The brilliance of this overly crowded service, as our church mothers and fathers designed it, is that it conveys the same urgency experienced at this point in the Gospels. Jesus was out of time. The time he had left to explain the significance of his ministry, the depth of his love, that time had evaporated. The fate that awaited him in Jerusalem was imminent, given all of the unrest that he had created. Jesus gathered those whom he loved one last time before things completely deteriorated. We, too, are short on time. In a few moments, I'm going to invite you to do something uncomfortable. I'm going to invite you to be vulnerable in a rather odd way, having your feet washed. Whether you choose to come forward or not, my hope for you tonight is that you might prayerfully consider not what it means to be loved excessively, but how that excessive love feels. Are you willing to be changed by acts of love that are excessive, generous, and unexpected? Because we know exactly what it feels like for Jesus to meet us in the spaces that are unstable and uncomfortable. Amen.